Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Nicole, and I'm the Director of Customer Success here at the Neat Company. With me today, I have George and Tia, who are two of our customer success leads here at the Neat Company, and they are going to be here in today's webinar in the chats, helping me to answer all of your Neat related questions. So if you guys have any questions along the way throughout this webinar, please pop them in your chat box to the right, and someone will follow up with you to get you an answer. In today's webinar, we are going to be talking all about the Neat mobile application. We're really going to focus on the files features in the mobile application today. And I actually have an agenda to share with you. So let me just share some slides with you. Here we have our agenda for today. In today's webinar, we are going to do a quick mobile app overview where I want to talk about some functionality within the mobile application and also make sure everyone knows how they can download the Neat mobile application. Then we're going to move into a demonstration, and I actually have my own cell phone here today that I'm going to mirror for you and demonstrate our file cabinet within the Neat mobile application, capturing and uploading files, including some tips and tricks for how you can do that with the mobile app, and finally, how you can use the mobile app when you're on the go to search and find files in your Neat database. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in. So the Neat mobile app is a companion application to the Neat web application and our Neat scan utility. And using the Neat mobile application in combination with the Neat web application can take your organization and your organization process to the next level. And while the Neat mobile application doesn't have perfect feature parity yet, and I put emphasis on yet because with each new mobile app release, we're getting closer and closer to having all of the same features available to you on the Neat mobile app as are available within the Neat web application. So while not all the features are there just yet, most of the necessary features that you guys need to be able to manage your transactions, your invoices, and your files are already included in Neat for you to use. Now, Neat features can be bucketed up into these three main features that I've laid out for you here. They are transactions features, files features, and invoices features. And on our next slide here, you will see these are all of the features and functionality that is available for each of these different sets of features in Neat within the mobile app already. So you can see there's a ton of functionality here already. You're able to do most things to be able to manage your Neat account via the Neat mobile application. In today's webinar, we're going to focus on that middle column, the files features. As you can see, there's lots of stuff to go through, and it is by far our most requested mobile app feature webinar. So we wanted to make sure we spent enough time going over all of our files features. Now, you guys can download the mobile app a couple different ways, and I'm going to pause here for a second to allow anyone who doesn't already have the Neat mobile app time to install the application. It takes just a few moments to do. The Neat mobile application comes with all active Neat Cloud subscriptions. So as long as you have an active Neat Cloud or an active Neat Cloud trial, or if you want, you can even purchase a Apple iOS subscription for the Neat application through Apple's iOS store or App Store as well. As long as you have one of those things, you'll be able to download, install, and use the application in moments. So there's a few ways that you can download it. You can text Get Neat to that phone number that I've listed for you guys right there, and we will send you a response email with a link to the version that you need for the operating system that you have. You can also just go directly to your Google Play Store or your Apple App Store and search for Neat and look for our logo, which is that like white square with like purplish triangles in it that makes kind of like an N. And lastly, since this is a mobile app webinar, I've included some QR codes here. So if you have your mobile app available and you're looking at this on a computer, you can simply point your camera at one of those QR codes for the operating system you have and get quick access to it so you can download and install it. While we're giving some time, people time to download the application, we also have a poll that we're going to share with you in a moment. And this poll is just going to ask you, which operating system or type of phone are you using? Are you using an Apple device, an Android device, or neither? Maybe you're using something else. Let us know when that poll pops up. And while that's happening, I'm just going to get the mirroring and demo set up for you guys. It just takes a moment, so just bear with me. It gets a little trippy for a moment. 1 second here while I share my screen. What you guys should be seeing right now is to the left, you're going to see my actual cell phone, which I'm mirroring using a tool here. And then to the right of this, I actually have the Neat web application open, and I have them open inside side by side so we can compare some things between the two applications as we go through some of these demos. Here we have my Neat mobile application. This is the Neat application installed on my phone. Shout out to any horror fans out there who get the reference of my phone background. Whenever you're ready to use Neat, you'll just click to launch it. When you launch Neat, you are going to be brought into our login screen. You have two options for login. You can click sign in, and just like the web application, you can go ahead and enter your email address and password and sign in that way. But we also have biometric sign-in capabilities as well. So if you have a phone that has biometrics enabled, like your fingerprint or a face scan, you can also access Neat using sign-in with biometrics. And many of our customers are storing sensitive data within their Neat accounts, and we take data security incredibly seriously. So every time that you interact with the mobile application, at least every first time you go to interact with it within an hour's period of time, you are going to be prompted to log into your Neat account. And that is for security purposes, to make sure that no one who has access to your phone can just access your Neat database and potentially sensitive data. If that is something that frustrates you, and that has been feedback that I have heard from some users, is that having to log in each time can be kind of frustrating. If that is frustrating to you, then I highly recommend enabling biometrics. When you sign in with biometrics, it takes just moments to do. So for example, I can click Neat here, and I'm being prompted right now. You can't see it, but I'm being prompted to enter my fingerprint. And just like that, I'm in the application in under 15 seconds. And if I wasn't talking, I would have gotten even quicker. So, if that's something, if you want to be able to access the app quickly, I highly recommend enabling biometrics. If you haven't enabled biometrics thus far and you want to, you can go ahead and do that by clicking the set or the gear icon up here at the top right-hand corner of Neat, choosing settings, choosing change sign-in preferences, and then toggling enable biometric sign-in on. When you do that, you'll be prompted to enter biometrics to authenticate that, and then you'll be able to sign in using biometrics moving forward. So definitely a great way to quickly access Neat. Another way that you can actually quickly access Neat is with our quick launch capabilities. So if you click and hold on the Neat mobile application, you get this quick launch menu that allows you to quickly launch into a capture view or an import view. So if I choose capture, it's going to launch me directly into taking a picture of files or capturing files that I want to upload to Neat. Likewise, if I were to click import instead, click and hold and click import, it will take me into the import window and allow me to start importing files right away. So that's another quick way that you can access, capture, and import, especially if you have your hands full and you're on the go and you're trying to quickly add something to Neat. All right, let's do a quick tour of the Neat mobile application. So as I mentioned, Neat is kind of divided into three main feature sets, those being transaction features and all of the mobile app features associated with it, files features, and here we have our file cabinet, our capture and search, which we're going to explore in a moment. And then you have invoicing with all of your invoicing features as well. So we're going to stick with files today, and we'll do some future webinars on transactions and invoices in the mobile application. The first place that we want to take a look at is our cabinet within the Neat mobile application. When you open your cabinet, you'll notice that it looks exactly like the web application. You have all of the same quick filters that you have within the web app. So you have your needs review, all files, unfiled and saved reports filters to quickly access these different groups of files. When you open up your cabinet is also in the exact same structure as your web application. So all of your files, or all of your folders are in the same order on your mobile app. And same thing, if I were to open this and expand this even further to look at subfolders, we can see I have my 6 subfolders here, which matches those subfolders here. And when I open up my webinar folder here in the web application, we can see those 4 files that are currently sitting in my webinar folder are also here. So, basically the Neat mobile application file cabinet looks exactly like your web app file cabinet. So let's talk about the ellipses menu. You'll notice that all of your folders and all of your files have these little 3 dots next to them. And this is called your ellipses menu, and it is an action menu. So if I click on the ellipses button next to my webinar folder, I get these actions here that I can take on the folder. I can create a new subfolder under my webinar folder. I could create a whole new item. I could rename my webinar folder, duplicate my webinar folder structure, including any subfolders I have included. I can also move this webinar folder to another location in my database and send it to the trash if I needed to as well. So as you can see, lots of functionality here that you have to be able to manage your folder structure. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a brand new folder here. So we're going to name our new folder, my new folder, and we'll click save. And we can see my new folder is now sitting here in my webinar folder. And if I were to refresh the web application, we'll see that my new folder is now already available in my webinar folder as a subfolder. So this is great because if you are sharing your Neat account with multiple users and you have people who are using the mobile app, some people using the web application, all edits and changes that you make to your database are going to happen in an instant for everyone else. This keeps everyone on the same page and keeps all of your data, accurate for each user across all of the devices that they're using. I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to trash this my new folder. I'm doing that by right-clicking on my file within the web application and trashing it. Now, when I go back over to the web application, I can refresh my web application to see new changes just by pulling down. As you can see, I get that little arrow there. And when I pull down, it's going to refresh my Neat mobile application, showing me the latest version of my database. And as we can see, that my new folder that we just created is no longer showing up in my webinar folder. In fact, if I were to go all the way back, and if I were to take a look at my trash folder, we'd see the new folder we just created sitting in my trash. So all changes you make to the mobile app happen in the web app instantaneously and across all of your devices. Sticking with managing folders for a moment, when I click on the ellipses menu to manage a folder, a lot of these actions are pretty self-explanatory. Create a new folder, rename a folder, trash a folder. Some of you may be wondering, though, what this duplicate folder is. This is a feature that is available within the web application. So if I were to right-click on any of these folders in the web app, I can choose to duplicate them. And what this does is it allows me to duplicate that folder along with any subfolders associated with that parent folder if I need to. For example, I have this 2023 monthly order folder. When I click on it, I actually have 13 subfolders, one for each month, 12 subfolders, one for each month of the year here from January to December. If I needed to, say for example, 2024 begins and I want to recreate this folder structure so that I have the exact same folder structure for 2024, I can do that in my mobile application without going to the web app by clicking my ellipses menu and choosing to duplicate that folder and that folder's subfolders. I can include or exclude subfolders. In this case, I want to include them. I can change the location within my file cabinet, and I can also name the parent folder of the new folders I'm creating. So I'm just going to change this to 2024 monthly order. And when I click save, we'll see that my mobile application is doing the work to create those 13 new folders that I just asked it to create. And you'll also notice that I immediately saw this update within my web application as well. And I can immediately see this 2024 monthly order folder is now here with all of the subfolders. And if I were to check in my mobile app, here it is with all of the subfolders. So there are some really great tools here that allow you to manage your folders in a much more efficient way without having to manually create a bunch of folders, especially if you use a consistent folder structure for multiple projects or multiple years or multiple properties. All right, let's take a look at a file now within the web application. So I'm going to open up this Kanoko receipt here, which is a gas receipt. And I'm going to also open the Kanoko receipt here in the web application so we can compare. Now, the first thing I do want to mention is that whenever I'm mirroring my mobile device for you guys, you're going to notice that the quality of the mirroring is not as great. Like you'll notice even like some of my icons up here at the top of my mobile phone are kind of blurry, and that's just an effect of the mirroring. It's not something that I can fix, but what you can see is that the images look very similar. The image in my mirroring app looks a teeny tiny bit blurry, but what it actually looks like to me is crystal clear. It looks exactly like it does here within my web application. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at the quality of some of these scans or captures within the mobile application. You're seeing them a bit blurry because I'm mirroring my mobile phone right now. But what we can see is we have our images. You can zoom in on your image within the mobile app just by pinching and zooming. And, I can zoom in on different text here if I needed to. We can also see key details about my file, like the vendor, the dates, the amounts, and the categories. I can even edit this file within the mobile application just by clicking this pencil icon here. And I can edit my date. I can edit my vendor. When I click on vendor, I get access to the same list of vendors that I have within the web app as well. So we can see like these are all of the same vendors that are available to me in my web application. So this is the same list of vendors here. And within the mobile app, you can even manage your lists. So I can manage this vendor list by clicking manage, and I can even like merge duplicates. Like these two AMC vendors are basically the same thing. I could merge them into one and manage my lists directly from the mobile application. We'll notice that as soon as this is done processing, even the web app lets me know, hey, you've merged two vendors already over here. And we can see that, in my vendor list, that extra AMC movie theater vendor is no longer available. So changes that you make to your lists happen instantaneously on the web app as well. You also can manage lists for your categories as well. So I can access all of the category lists that I have here. They're the same category lists that are here within my web application. You have amounts, and you can change the amount to be a positive or negative amount by clicking this button here. Clicking it once will turn it red, making it a negative amount. Clicking it again will, turn it to a positive amount. You can add notes to your files. And you can also mark your files as reimbursable, all from your mobile application. So many of the file fields and actions and things that you have within the web application are already here and accessible within the mobile app. We think that these are the most necessary things, like being able to edit your date, your vendor, your amounts, and your categories are most important for mobile access. But we're planning to add more file fields to the mobile app as well in the future. There's also an ellipses menu for managing your files. So if I click this ellipses menu here next to my Kanoko receipt, I have 3 actions that I can take. I can move it to another location in my file cabinet. I can share this file as a PDF, allowing me to email this file as a PDF to somebody else. And I can also trash the file as well if I want to send it to my trash. So again, lots of functionality allowing you to move and share and edit your files all on the go. That is the file cabinet within the mobile application. Now let's move on to probably the most anticipated part of this webinar, which is capturing and uploading files using the mobile application. So I'm going to click this house button down here, which takes me home, and I'm just going to reload this here. So there are two ways that you can add items to Neat using your Neat mobile application. You can capture files using your phone's camera, and you can also import files directly from your phone's photo gallery or screenshots of order confirmations that you've taken from, that are sitting in your phone's gallery directly to Neat. So we're going to first take a look at importing because it's a very straightforward process. To access importing, I can click capture and I can choose import. And when I choose import, my phone's photo gallery shows up within Neat, and I can select from all of these files here to import them to Neat. So we'll import one file for right now. I've selected this file by just clicking it. I can choose the type of item this is. There are 9 different item types to select from. I'm going to choose document. You can also select auto detect if you want, and Neat will try to detect what the file is for you. You can change the folder location. So I'm going to choose a different folder in my cabinet. We're going to choose the Neat mobile app webinar folder that I've set up for this. And you can even edit your file before you add it to Neat. So I could go in and I can add a date to this. I can add a title to this. We'll just call this my new document. I could add a category. I'll add a document category. Anytime you go to add a category or a vendor that isn't already in one of your category lists, you'll get this add button. I could select a tax category if I needed to, and I can even add notes. And we'll go ahead and click save. So we're now telling Neat before we even import it that I want to set this as a document. I want to send it to this folder, and these are all of the details that I want associated with the file. And I can go ahead and click confirm, and that file will now be uploaded to Neat. Now that file is going to appear in multiple locations within my database. It's going to appear within my needs review filter, and we can see the item is currently processing here. It's also going to show up in the folder that I sent my file to, and it's actually finished processing. I sent it to my Neat mobile app webinar folder, and we can see that here. We can also see this within the web application, or I'm sorry, the mobile application as well. So we can see I get a little notifier letting me know that I do have a file sitting in my needs review filter that I just uploaded. I would also be able to directly access it from the folder I uploaded this to. So we can see my new document here. When I open it up, I can see the picture of the file that I uploaded. I can see details about my file, and I can also see all of my notes and details like that. Same thing over here. I'd be able to see all of the notes that I added, the categories I selected, and the dates and title that I added as well. So that is one import. But if you have multiple files you need to import, you can import them, you could import your files one at a time, or you could actually streamline the import process by importing all the files that you need to at one time as one file, and then use the separate feature within the Neat web application to separate those files into the separate files that you need them to be. So let me show you an example of that. We're going to go back to the capture menu here. I'm just quickly accessing it by literally clicking the capture button here and then choosing import. Now I'll select 9 files this time. And we can see that Neat saves some details for me. So it knows I just uploaded a document, so it auto-filled the item type into document. It also knows that I recently sent items to my Neat mobile application folder. So it's auto-filling that in for me because, based off of user usage, if you upload or import files to one folder, you're typically going to be importing more files to that folder as well. I could go in here and I can add details to my files, but I'm not going to this time. The reason being is because all 9 of these files I've selected are going to be imported into Neat as one file. And then I'm going to use the separate feature in the web application to separate these files. So I'm going to click confirm, and Neat is going to upload all 9 files as one document for me. Just like with our other import, that file is going to appear in my needs review filter and will also appear in my Neat mobile app folder. Same thing within my mobile application. If I pull down to refresh, we'll see that I have this document here that has just finished processing pretty quick. Now, no data was pulled from this document for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't tell it to fill in any data, but additionally, it's a document. So documents, while they will go through OCR parsing OCR processing to extract data from the file images, it's not actually going to fill any file field data out. However, but what we can see is that all 9 images that I imported are here as one document. And now what I could do is I could open this file and actually choose to separate it into 9 different files. So I could divide them all into 9 separate files if I wanted to. Let's say the last 2 files are a 2-page document, so I could leave those together. I can click next step. In the next step of separating, I can choose the types of files these are. So if I am uploading different types of files like receipts and invoices and documents, I can tell Neat which page is what type of file. And then I can choose separate. And now what happens is when I separate files in Neat, they're going to be re-added to my new processing as if it was a brand new item added to Neat. It's going to be added, all those files will be added to my needs review filter and also the folder that I sent them to. And, Neat will try to extract information from them if they're a receipt or an invoice. And so in this way, I have streamlined the import process. Like I said, I could have imported all 9 of those items separately, but by just importing them all as one file and using the separate feature in Neat, I was able to streamline that process. So don't forget about that separate feature as a way to kind of streamline capturing and importing files to Neat. And we're going to now talk about capturing files to Neat. So to capture a file to Neat, you're going to click the capture menu here, and you're going to click take a photo instead. And before we capture anything, there are a few settings I want to call out. So if you need to use your phone's flash for any reason, if you're in a low light environment, you can toggle flash on by clicking this little light bulb button at the bottom. It's kind of hard to tell on my camera, but it does add, as you can see, it brightens up my page quite a bit here. Now, I have set up for you guys a bunch of files that we can capture today. I don't think we'll capture all of them, but we'll capture definitely a few of them. The other setting that I want to call out is the auto versus manual capture. So right now I have auto capture toggled off, meaning I have manual capture enabled. What that means is in order for me to capture anything using my mobile phone's camera, I need to actually physically click this capture button down here, which is fine. And that's, a perfectly fine way to capture files. But you also have auto capture that you can enable. And auto capture, when enabled, will allow you to capture a file without clicking any buttons. Basically, all you'll need to do is point your camera at the file you want to capture. Neat will detect the 4 sides of the file that you're trying to capture and will automatically capture it for you and automatically crop it for you. So let me show you a demonstration between manual and auto capture now. So I'm actually just going to move a couple of these files, and we're just going to look at this Neat invoice for now. Just going to move all of these over to my left. And we have my Neat invoice here. Now, another tip is that you want to make sure when you're doing a capture that you're capturing, especially when you're using auto capture, you want to make sure that you're using a contrasting background behind your file. The reason for that is because it's going to make it much easier for Neat to detect the 4 sides of your file and auto crop the file for you. So right now, I've lined up my file, and I'm actually manually clicking capture right now. And Neat is going to capture that file. And again, because I'm using a slightly darker background, Neat was able to identify the 4 sides and auto crop this for me, even though I don't have auto capture enabled. If I needed to, you could click on the file and you can edit the file before you upload it to Neat. So you can rotate your file image if you need to, and you can also further crop your image if you needed to as well, all within the mobile application. I'm going to click cancel though. Clicking replace up at the top left-hand corner will allow you to retake the image if your image is blurry or you want to get a better image, or if you just messed up taking your image. So I'm going to click replace, and this time we're going to capture the file using auto capture. So I'm going to line my file up, and I'm just going to turn auto capture on. And you can see Neat detected the 4 sides of my file. It kind of highlighted it in that green color. And auto captured this file for me, and we can see that it auto cropped it for me as well. So I can go in and notice again, Neat has, remembered some of my recent settings. So right now, we have it set to receipt, which is what I want to have it as. It remembered the folder I recently uploaded this file to, but I'm actually going to change this folder. We're going to change this folder to just my webinar folder, and we'll save it there instead. I can even go in and I can, again, add details to my file. I can add a date to this. I believe the date to this was January 1st. Adding all of these details in ahead of time will reduce the amount of review time you have to do later once your files are in your needs review filter. So I'm going to add the Neat company as a vendor. We'll add the amount, which was $250. The category, we'll do yearly subscription. Adding that as well. We'll add some notes. We'll say VIP service included. And if this were reimbursable, I can mark it as reimbursable. I'm not going to mark it as reimbursable though. I'm going to click save. And now we have auto captured a file, told Neat a bunch of details about it, and we'll go ahead and we'll click save, and it's going to upload that file now. Again, this file is going to show up in my needs review filter as a processing file, and it's also going to show up in my webinar folder as well once it's finished processing. So that is capture number 1. Let's talk about, and actually, let me go back to the file cabinet here. Let's talk about another way that you can launch capture within the Neat mobile application. So some of you may have been keen and to notice that there is a little camera button in all of your folders up at the top here next to sort and filter. What that little button does is it allows you to tell Neat that you want to capture or import a file directly to the folder you're already in. So right now I'm in my Neat mobile app webinar folder. We'll go there as well within the web application as well. When I click capture here, it's asking me, hey, do I want to import a file here or do I want to capture a file to here? And we're going to choose capture. And I actually have a different receipt this time that we're going to capture. So I'm just switching that out for you guys. And we have our file here. So I'm going to line this file up. I have my auto capture enabled, and Neat has captured that file for me. So I could replace this. There's a little bit of dust down here causing it to detect a little bit more of the rest of my file, but I can replace it and we can see my file image has now been cropped successfully. Some of the things that we're going to notice is the item type is receipt. The folder is the folder that I had selected to upload this file to. I could go in and change this folder. You will notice that Neat does save recent destinations that you've selected to import and capture files to. That way you don't have to always go browse through your entire cabinet every time you upload or import a file. I'm going to leave Neat mobile app selected because that's where I want to import it to. And instead of, I could fill all of these details out, but this time I'm not going to. And the reason for that is because when I upload this file to Neat, it is going to go through all of the OCR processing and Neat verification during its initial upload. And during that time, Neat is going to try to extract key information from my file, like dates and vendors and amounts and things like that. So we're just going to leave it like that and click save. And now this file is going to upload and it's going to end up in my needs review filter. And we can see there it is processing. And I'm actually just going to clear a few of these files out of my needs review filter. I'm doing that by selecting all the ones that I want to clear. I'm going to bulk edit them and I'm going to mark them as reviewed and next. And all of these will now be bulk edited as reviewed. In the mobile application, we can see now as well that this receipt is currently processing. If I were to open it, we're not going to get any details though, because it's still processing. So we're just going to give it a time to do that because we wanted to try to extract information from the file. We'll let that process for now as we move on to our next capture. So going back to the capture here and taking a photo, I'm going to turn auto capture off for a second. So this is a pretty small receipt. You know, it's very, very tiny here. I can fit everything and I can really see a lot of the text really good up close. But what if you have a receipt that is not so tiny? Like I have this Target receipt that is, as you can see, much longer than the receipt that I just captured for the 5-4 bar and grill. So, you know, obviously, as you have larger or longer receipts, you have to move further away from the receipt in order to get the entirety of the receipt in there. So, what can you do to, you know, kind of make it so that you can still get all of the integrity of the text on your receipt? One of the things that I recommend doing and our customers do is folding out or cutting off or ripping off sections of the app of your receipt that is not needed for file keeping purposes. For example, the top of this Target receipt here is basically just a logo and a bunch of white space up here, which is not needed for record keeping purposes. So what I can do is I can just fold this back or rip it off or cut it off if I don't want it. And now we're starting with all of the important information about when and where I made my purchase. Same thing with the bottom of my receipt. At the bottom of my receipt, I have details like how much I saved and like what I can do if I need to exchange or return a file. Not anything that is necessary for file keeping purposes. So what I could do is I could fold that back or rip that off, and now I have a much shorter receipt that I can get closer to, and I can still see all of this great text here about the items that I purchased. So we're going to move this out of the way. We're going to capture this item also. I'm going to enable auto capture, and it's going to automatically detect my file. And there it is. And I can go ahead and I can just click save, and Neat is going to, you know, extract information from that file and upload it to that folder. We can see our 5-4 bar and grill was successfully uploaded, and we can see that Neat successfully parsed the vendor from it, the date, the payment type, and the amount from it. It even categorized my file correctly as a meals or restaurant receipt. So I can, you know, I'm in here, I'm reviewing my file, I'm making sure it's categorized, I'm making sure it's in the right folder. I can save it, and it is, you know, it's all filed away and organized. So I have one last tip for you guys when it comes to capturing files. Let's say, for example, let me take a photo again. Let me open up my camera here. We'll turn auto capture off again. Let's say, for example, you have a bunch of files. So I have like a stack of papers here to capture. I have one 3-page document in here, an invoice, another document, and 2 receipts. So if you have, you know, I could capture all of these files one by one and upload them one by one. Or to streamline that capture process, what I can do is actually capture all of these files as one document upload from the mobile application. And then, just like with importing, use the separate feature to separate my files into individual files within my database, which will allow me to, again, streamline the capture process and utilize some other tools in Neat to easily organize those files away. So let me show you an example of that. Bear with me, this is going to take just a moment as we go through and recapture a bunch of these files. And I'm going to turn auto capture on to do this. So we have, see, auto capture works so quick sometimes that you need to be ready because it'll detect the size of a file so quickly. So we have one capture. I could go in here and I can crop and rotate this if I wanted to. I'm going to set up my next file. Just bear with me. Whoop, drop in my phone. We have our next file here. And what I'm going to do to make this a multi-page upload is just click Add Page here. And we're going to capture the next file. And now we can see I have 2 pages here in my uploads. And if I swipe left or right, we can see those 2 individual captures. And I can edit each one of them, separately. I'm going to set up my next document. We have the neat invoice that we captured earlier. I'm going to click Add Page, capture it. And now I'm just going to quickly go through them. So we have a W-2 here. It's not a real W-2. There we are. And lastly, I have a 3-page document to upload. So we have page number 1. I could go in here and I could edit this if I wanted to, or I could replace it with another capture if I want to. Add another page, just page 2 of this 3-page document. And I'm not even going to worry about that one. And we'll do our last page. Got this one here. And there we go. All right. So as I swipe through, we can see I have, all 7 pages, all 7 files here that I've captured. We have 2 receipts, an invoice, and 2 documents that are, one's a 3-page document. I can, set the item type. The item type I can leave as receipt for now because I want Neat to be able to extract key information from some of my files. We're going to leave the folder as my Neat mobile application folder. And I'm actually going to leave all of these other details blank, and we'll click Save. And now Neat is going to upload all 7 files as a single upload. And that's going to show up in my needs review filter here in a moment. And we're going to give that file there a moment to process. While we're waiting for that to process, I'm just going to go and pop in and see if there are any. Roger asks, hey, can I add my wife to both my Neat mobile app and my web applications? Roger, yes. We have a feature that allows you to share your account or share just individual folders with 1 or more users. You can share your account with up to 4 users, so you can give your wife access to your account. She would be able to access Neat both within the web application and on the mobile app and, manage your database as you guys go. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's get back to Neat and try refreshing. Okay, so I must have cleared this one out. If we go over to the Neat web app folder where I uploaded my file, we can see my 7-page document is here. So here's all 7 pages. Like I said, a couple of them are receipts. One's an invoice, a document, and then a 3-page document. So what I can do now is, again, I can click separate, and I can separate these 7 pages into the 6 different documents I need them to be. So we'll separate these 2 and this one, and then we have a 3-page document here. And then I'll click next step. The first one needs to be a receipt. The second one's also a receipt. We're going to make the 3rd page an invoice, and the last 2 documents. And again, this is going to re-add all 5 individual files back to my upload process, my initial upload process. So they're going to show up in my needs review filter like I need them to. They're going to show up my Neat mobile app webinar folder as well once they're done processing. And, the receipts Neat will try to parse information from, and then, I can go through and categorize and file all my files away much more quickly than individually capturing all of those and uploading them individually. It's really kind of it's up to you, really. Like, this is an option that you have to streamline the capture process, but it might not be for you. So, that might be something you want to try to incorporate into your capture process to streamline that. All right, so that is uploading and capturing in Neat. The last thing that I wanted to talk with you guys about was searching. So, Being able to quickly find and access files or receipts that you have when you're out and about and on the go is incredibly important. I've used the Neat mobile application when I've been at a department store and I needed to access a receipt for a return or exchange. And also when I was out in the field just trying to access like a client's contracts and contract details that I was able to access in a moment securely and find the details that they needed. So let's look up for a file that we actually uploaded earlier. I can't remember. Let me see. The first file that I uploaded was to the webinar folder. I believe that was that Neat invoice, the Neat company invoice here. So we have this file here. So whenever you run a keyword search within the mobile application, just like with the web application, Neat is going to search through all of your file field data and all of your OCR text data to look for matching characters and pull up matching files. If you want to learn more about searching in Neat and how searching works in Neat, especially within the web application, I recommend checking out our webinar landing or webinar library, where we have a searching webinar that is on demand that you can access right now. It's a recording of a previous one that we ran that goes deep into how you can use searching within the web application. But for now, you just need to know Neat will search all of your file field data and all of your OCR text data. So for example, let's run a few different searches to find this file. I could find this file simply by knowing the amount. So I could type in 250. I know that's the amount. I don't need to add any special characters. I don't need to add a dollar sign or anything like that. I can just type in 250 and press enter. And Neat has found two files. So it found the invoice that we just uploaded, and it also found the Neat company receipt that we uploaded earlier that has that $250 amount. So that's one way I could have found this file. Another way that you can search for the file is using your file notes. So for example, I typed in my notes for this file, VIP service included. So I could go back, and if I know that I mentioned VIP within the notes of this file, I could simply type in VIP and press enter. And Neat is going to find all of the files in my database that reference VIP somewhere within the file field data, in the notes data, or in the OCR text data. And we can see the Neat company invoice and receipt shows up here because that VIP shows up in my notes field. And we can also see that there are a few other receipts that I have with mentions of VIP service, like a Frightland receipt I purchased back in October to go to a haunted hayride or attraction. So that's another way. You can search using your file field notes. And lastly, Neat also, again, searches for files using your OCR text data. So for example, I have, going back in here, sorry about that. Let me load this back in again. Zooming in a bit on this file, I have this invoice number here, 1819596. This invoice number only appears right here within this file. It doesn't appear anywhere else in my file field data or anywhere else on the invoice. It only appears right here. I can search for files using data that appears on the image of my files using the OCR text data that was processed from my file. So I can type in 1819596 and press enter. And Neat has found the only two files in my database that reference that string of numbers. And again, Neat was not able to find that using any of the file field data at all. It was only able to find that using the OCR text data from the actual image of my file, which is why, searching Neat is so powerful, because we take all of your images and we extract the characters into searchable OCR text data. So those are a few ways that you can search for files in Neat. Within the Neat mobile application. You could also combine search characters too. Like for example, if I search for just like Target, I have a ton of Target receipts that are going to pop up. But I only have one Target receipt with the total, it's total 7360. I can combine search terms like Target and 7360, I think it was. And Neat run a search that way, and Neat is going to find the one specific target receipt that I have that also has that total amount in there. So you can also combine search terms. Search terms like vendor and amount are perfect terms to put together in a keyword search to narrow down your search results. And you'll notice I didn't put any, special characters in there, no commas, nothing distinguishing between the two search terms. I just simply typed in target and the total amount, and Neat was able to find the file I was looking for. And that is the Neat mobile application. So I'm going to switch over and we are going to now take some questions. So Melissa has asked about checking the version number within your mobile app. So you can do that by going to the main page on your mobile application. You can click the gear icon up at the top here, and the app version is going to be right at the bottom here. So our current Neat mobile app application number is version 1.0.48. So as long as you're seeing that version, you're on the latest version. We do have auto update, so the app will automatically update whenever an update is available. But if for some reason you're seeing a different version number, you can always uninstall and reinstall the application, and that should install the latest version. So I hope that answers your question. Roger asks, I haven't started the web application. Can I sync my bank account? Yeah, absolutely, Roger. We have a transactions feature under accounts and transactions that allows you to connect multiple financial institutes directly to Neat. So you can connect your credit cards, your banks, your loan accounts, all to Neat so that you can see all your transactions across all your financial accounts all in one place. Right now, I'm just using demo data in this account. And so, normally this would be much more filled in, but you can see you can have a whole bunch of accounts over here. You can see breakdowns and get insights about the transaction data. You can even do monthly review, which allows you to link physical receipts in your cabinet to transactions that you have in your transaction section of Neat, effectively allowing you to reconcile your expenses on a month-to-month basis. So absolutely, that is a capability. In order to get access to that feature, you do need to have a Neat Plus Automated Insights plan activated on your account, and then you'll be able to access all of the transaction-related features. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see. Mary says, I'm the only user on my account. I heard earlier that you can add family members. Is there a cost for them to be able to upload receipts, and how do I add them? Mary, yeah, there's no additional cost. You can add up to 4 additional users to your account. And the way that you can do that is just by going into your account settings. So you click on your name at the top right-hand corner of Neat and choose account settings. You can scroll down to user management, and that's where you can invite up to 4 additional users to access your account. There is no additional cost to add those 4 users. They can add as many files as they want to Neat. They can install their own Neat mobile application and log into your account, upload files to the account. There's unlimited file storage and unlimited file upload, so there's no limit there either. They'll be able to essentially access your entire file cabinet. They won't be able to access your user settings or your account settings or your transactions sections of Neat, but they'll have full access to your file cabinet. If you don't want to give users full access to your file cabinet, you can also share individual folders with users. So if you right-click on a specific folder and choose share, you can choose to share that folder's contents and only that folder's contents with a specific user. And you can manage that access by clicking share. And, if I had additional users viewing this or shared with this folder, I could manage their access there. So I hope that answers your question, Mary. Let's see. Roger, does Neat Plus VIP allow syncing to bank and CC accounts? No, Roger. You need to have that AI automated insights package associated with it. If you want to see what that actually looks like, if I go to justneat.com, you're looking at the automated insights package here. So this is the feature set that you need. It'll be a Neat Plus automated insights plan, essentially. So I hope that helps answering your question. Let's see. Eliza asks, I just noticed my mobile app is not on the newest version as you showed. How can I update it? So what I recommend doing, Eliza, is just going to I'm not sure if you're on an Apple or Android device, but you can go to your app store, look for Neat, and Neat will pop up as one of the top, the top files that you have in your Google Play Store. So I can actually kind of show you guys what this looks like, hopefully. We'll do, let me go up like this. Let me do the App Store. So if I just search for Neat here, we see Neat shows up as one of these here. If you go to browse to the app on the App Store and it's not up to date, there should be an update button. Instead of open, you should see update. And then you can just update it that way. If you don't see update there, then what I recommend is just uninstalling and then reinstall the application as soon as it's done. And that should get you on the latest version. So hopefully that answers your question, Eliza. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Answered this one. We answered this one live as well. Let me just mark that as finished. So Christopher asks, if you scan a receipt that is hard to read, can you adjust the contrast and brightness to enhance the text? This was available on an older original desktop app, but you haven't seen it in the new web app just yet. Unfortunately, at this point in time, Christopher, that is not an option yet. However, we are working on including some, new enhancements to the image capabilities within the web application. That is something that is a feature request. I appreciate your feedback. I'll make sure to notate that and add that as an additional request for that feature. But at this point in time, you can't adjust the brightness or the contrast once the file has been captured and uploaded to Neat. You could only really kind of make adjustments at the point of capture, at the point of scan. If you're using the Neat scan utility, you do have some ability to like skew your file and like obviously rotate and crop your file within the Neat scan utility, but the options are a little limited comparative to our older desktop application. All right, so it's 2:00. I have time for a few more questions. We ran a little over last week as well. And then I have one last thing that I want to share with you guys as a mostly just a request for you guys. Let's see, what other questions have come in? Let's see, what other questions? Okay, so Juan asks a great question about sharing your account. In the case of multiple users accessing your folders and your files all at the same time, if a file is being viewed or edited by someone, will it lock up the file for other users, preventing them from, overriding changes that you're making to the file you're currently looking at? And right now, Juan, no, there is nothing like that that locks the file if you are editing it. So for example, if I am editing a file and George is editing the same file, whoever makes the changes last will override the changes the previous person made. So that is definitely something that, we can look to enhance the Neat mobile application and the web application with, but not currently available. Natalie asks, how about viewing a PDF and bringing that in without taking a picture on the screen of the PDF on your computer? I think there's a few ways. So I'm not 100% sure, Natalie. I think what you're asking is if you're on your computer and you have a PDF file that you're looking at and you want to add to Neat, how would you add that without taking a picture of it? For that, what you can do is you can use our importing feature. So if it's a digital file that's already on your computer, there's import here. You can import PDF, JPEGs, TIFFs, PNGs, and BMPs. You can also send emails directly to Neat that have like HTML format associated with them. So those would be two ways that you could add your file that is already a digital file to Neat without having to actually scan it or capture it. You can just import it directly to Neat, or you can use our email in feature, which allows you to send or forward emails directly to your account. So you can actually access what your forwarding email is. It's called your Neat Cloud email in address. And any files that you send to your Neat Cloud email address will show up in your needs review filter for you to be able to organize away. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So I'm sure that there are questions here that we have not answered yet. Do not worry. Every question is going to get looked at today, and we will follow up with you via email to answer your question if it has not been answered yet. So do not worry. I do have one last request from you guys, though, and I'm actually going to share a slide with you to do that. So let me just share my slides again, and let me just share this slide. So we really hope that you enjoy using the Neat mobile application, but your feedback is incredibly important to us. It really helps us to improve our application and provide you guys with a better experience. So if you guys have a spare moment today, I would greatly appreciate it if you could go into your app store and rate the mobile application. You can do so just by adding a rating. Essentially, you could go directly to your Android Play Store or your Apple App Store and rate the application there. And if you leave a review, every single one of the reviews that come in is reviewed by myself, is reviewed by our CEO, and also our head of development. And so go in, leave a review. Let us know what you think about the Neat mobile application. What do you like? What is missing? What is crucial for you guys to be able to effectively manage your files? What other features would you like to see within the Neat mobile application? All of that stuff is painstakingly sifted through by our company and by members within our development team. And we try to prioritize that stuff to include that in newer releases. In fact, many of the features that have come out of Q4 of 2023 have come from suggestions that we've got from these types of reviews and these webinar follow-ups. So, your review will not only help us to understand what we're doing well, but you'll also be able to highlight the areas where we need to make enhancements to make this a better experience. So if you have some time, you can scan those QR codes and or just go to the App Store and leave a review, and I would greatly appreciate that. That is going to be it for today, though. Like I said, any questions that have not got answered, we will make sure to follow up with you. Otherwise, thank you all so much for spending over an hour with me today talking about the Neat mobile application. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.